Ladies, let me be honest with you. We've all been there. You catch yourself thinking about a man over and over again, even when you know you probably shouldn't. You wake up in the morning and he's on your mind. You go to sleep at night and somehow he's still there. Why is that? Why can't you stop thinking about him? First, let me tell you this. It's not a coincidence. Your mind is wired to notice certain things, and when a man leaves an impression on you, it's because he's triggered something inside you, a feeling, a memory, or even a desire that's been lying dormant. You can't stop thinking about him because your emotions are tied to your experiences with him. Maybe he made you laugh in a way no one else could. Maybe he made you feel safe when life was chaotic. Or maybe, just maybe, he made you feel like you were being truly seen for the first time. And once your heart feels that kind of connection, your mind will keep revisiting it, trying to understand it, trying to hold on to it. You ever notice how some people just stick in your mind no matter what? No matter how hard you try to distract yourself, no matter how many errands you run, how many movies you watch, or how many friends you talk to, you keep thinking about him. And the first thing you need to understand is why that happens. It's because he triggered something in you, something deep down in your heart that you didn't even know was there. See, your mind doesn't just pick someone at random. When a man makes an impression on you, it's because he stirred up an emotional response that your heart can't ignore. Maybe it's laughter, maybe it's warmth, maybe it's that feeling of being seen in a way nobody else has ever made you feel. And when your heart feels that, your mind will not let go. Think about it. You might meet a man, and on the surface, everything seems normal. But then he says something, does something, or even just looks at you in a certain way. And it's like your world shifts. Suddenly, you can't stop replaying that moment. Your mind goes over it again and again because your emotions are screaming, pay attention, something's happening here. That's what happens when a man impacts you on an emotional level. It's not about the physical. It's not about what he owns. It's about how he made you feel in that moment. That is what latches onto your brain and won't let go. Now, let me tell you something. This isn't a weakness. This is proof that you're human. Too many women think that if they can't stop thinking about a man, they are somehow powerless or weak, but that's nonsense. You're wired to notice feelings that resonate with you because emotions are powerful. They have a way of bypassing logic. You can try to reason yourself out of it, but your heart has already made its claim. That emotional imprint is there, and your brain knows it. It keeps playing it back like a favorite song because it knows that feeling was significant. Maybe he made you laugh so hard you forgot about your worries. Maybe he was there when you were down, and his presence brought comfort you didn't even realize you were craving. That's not something you forget. That's not something your mind will let slide. And this is the part people don't talk about. Emotional connections are sticky. They stick because they touch a part of you that is rarely touched. Everyone can say nice things, everyone can compliment you, but very few people can make you feel something that resonates with your soul. When a man triggers that, your mind keeps going back to him. Even if the timing is off, even if the situation isn't perfect, your brain is just making sure you don't miss the importance of that moment. It's reminding you, this mattered. Pay attention to how this made you feel. And that's why sometimes you'll find yourself smiling out of nowhere, thinking about a text he sent, a joke he made, or a look he gave you. Your emotions are replaying the memory because it hits you where it counts, deep down. Here's the thing about emotional impact. It doesn't care about age. It doesn't care about experience. It doesn't care if you've been hurt before. When your heart reacts, it reacts fully. That's why you can't just force yourself to stop thinking about him. You can't just push it down. You can't just tell yourself, I'll move on. The moment touch something inside you, and the mind is keeping score. It's keeping track of what made you feel alive, what made you laugh, what made you feel understood. And those moments, no matter how small, create an echo that bounces around in your brain until you finally acknowledge it and understand what it's teaching you. When you stop and really pay attention, you realize that the reason he's on your mind isn't random, is because he touched a part of you that needed touching. He created a memory your heart wants to hold on to. Your emotions remember it because they matter. And that is why, no matter how busy your day gets, no matter how distracted you try to be, he keeps appearing in your thoughts. Because emotions have a way of anchoring themselves in our minds, making us remember not just the person, but the way we felt when we were with them. And that, my dear, is the power of emotional impact. You know, a lot of women make the mistake of thinking they can't stop thinking about a man because he's perfect. And I want you to hear me clearly when I say this. It has nothing to do with perfection. You ever notice that the people who stick in your mind aren't always the ones with the best jobs, the best looks, or the fanciest things? No. The reason you can't stop thinking about him is because of the connection, the real deep connection that touches your soul in a way that nothing else can. That connection is what latches onto your heart and won't let go. And that is far more powerful than perfection. Think about it. You meet a man, and maybe he doesn't have it all together. Maybe he's a little rough around the edges. Maybe he makes mistakes like everyone else. But there's something about the way he talks to you, the way he listens when you speak, the way he laughs at your jokes, or even the way he challenges you that makes your heart pay attention. That's connection. And connection doesn't care about perfection. Connection cares about resonance. It's about how he makes you feel seen, heard, and understood in a way nobody else has. And that is why your mind keeps going back to him, even when you try to rationalize why you shouldn't. The truth is, when you experience a genuine connection, it touches parts of you that are usually guarded. Maybe you've been hurt before. Maybe you've been let down, disappointed, or misunderstood. But this man, for whatever reason, manages to break through those walls. He creates a bridge between his world and your heart. And that bridge is what keeps him alive in your thoughts. It's not about how clean his resume is, how handsome he looks, or how much money he makes. It's about the way he connects to your inner world. That's what makes it unforgettable. And let me tell you, the human mind remembers feelings far longer than facts. You might forget the color of his shirt, the exact words he said, or the time you spent together. But you will never forget how you felt in his presence. That's connection. That's why perfection doesn't matter. It doesn't stick. But that emotional thread, the invisible thread that ties your soul to someone else's energy, that's what keeps him in your mind. That's what makes you think about him when you're trying to focus on something else, or when you're lying in bed at night wondering why he matters so much. Sometimes women chase perfection and overlook connection. They think if a man isn't flawless, he's not worth their time. But here's the thing. Life isn't about perfection. Life is about feeling alive, about being challenged, about laughing until your cheeks hurt, about someone seeing you in a way no one else can. And when a man gives you that, even if he's imperfect, your brain keeps returning to him. It's wired to notice the moments that make you feel emotionally alive, because those moments are rare and they resonate deep within your soul. So when you find yourself thinking about him, stop worrying about why he's not perfect or why he didn't do this or that. Ask yourself instead, what is it about him that makes me feel alive? What is it about him that makes my heart skip a beat, that makes me laugh so hard I forget everything else. That, my dear, is connection. That is the magnetic pull that keeps someone in your thoughts long after the moment has passed. And that connection, real, raw, unforgettable, is worth more than any idea of perfection the world tries to sell you. You ever notice how sometimes your mind and your heart are just at war with each other? You know you shouldn't think about him so much. You tell yourself, girl, move on. He's not for you. Focus on yourself. And yet, every time you sit down, every time you close your eyes, every time you try to concentrate on something else, he pops right back into your head. That, my friend, is the conflict between your mind and your heart. And it's a powerful thing because it shows you that what you feel isn't always easy to control, even when logic is screaming at you to stop. See, your mind is practical. Your mind looks at reality. It sees the circumstances, the timing, the reasons why it wouldn't make sense to be caught up in this man. It sees the risks, the red flags, the problems that might come along. It's trying to protect you, to keep you grounded, and to make sure you don't get hurt. That's the mind's job. But your heart, oh, your heart doesn't play by rules. Your heart doesn't check the calendar, doesn't run the numbers, doesn't think about consequences. Your heart reacts to feelings, to energy, to that spark that no one else can replace. And when the heart and the mind disagree, guess what happens? You think about him constantly. You wrestle with your thoughts. You question yourself. You analyze every word, every smile, every gesture. And that's why it feels impossible to let go. The funny thing is, this conflict isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're human. It's a sign that your heart is alive and your mind is wise. And sometimes that tension between the two is exactly what teaches you the most about yourself. The heart makes you feel and the mind makes you think. And when you can learn to listen to both, that's when you start to understand not just why you can't stop thinking about him, but why it matters. Because the heart is showing you what you truly desire, what you're drawn to, what makes you feel alive. The mind is showing you what's practical, what's safe, and what makes sense in the bigger picture. The magic happens when you balance the two. Let me be honest with you. There will be days when your heart wins. You'll find yourself daydreaming, replaying old memories, imagining what could have been, wondering if he's thinking about you too. And there will be days when your mind wins. You'll focus on your goals, your work, your family, your responsibilities, and you'll feel like maybe you're finally moving on. But the reality is, the mind and the heart are always in a dance. And sometimes that dance is what keeps him alive in your thoughts. It's not just obsession, it's a signal, a way for your soul to communicate with you about what truly matters. You see, the mind-heart conflict is about awareness. It's about noticing why you feel what you feel and why you think what you think. It's about understanding that just because your heart pulls you towards someone doesn't mean you have to follow blindly. And just because your mind says let it go doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel. The tension between the two teaches patience, reflection, and self-understanding. It teaches you to recognize the difference between infatuation and genuine connection, between fleeting attraction and something deeper. And that's why when you find yourself thinking about him constantly, you don't need to panic. You don't need to judge yourself. You need to understand that your mind and your heart are simply negotiating. They are working together in their own complicated way to help you figure out what you truly want, what you truly need, and what you are willing to accept in love. That's what makes the conflict so intense, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Have you ever stopped to think about why you can't stop thinking about him and realize that maybe it's not just about him at all? Maybe it's about you. Every time someone keeps coming back into your mind, there's a lesson hidden in there, a lesson your heart and your mind are trying to teach you. You see, women, life doesn't just hand us these experiences to confuse us or to make us feel weak. No, life gives us moments like this to help us grow, to help us understand ourselves better, to help us figure out what we really want and deserve. And that's exactly what this is. This is your opportunity to learn. Think about it. You keep replaying conversations, moments, texts, and memories in your head. Why? Because your mind is trying to make sense of the impact he had on you. Your heart remembers the way he made you feel, the sparks, the laughter, the moments where it felt like he truly understood you. And your mind is there, asking questions, analyzing, trying to connect the dots. That tension, that replaying over and over is your personal growth in action. It's your soul saying, look closer, pay attention. There's something here that matters. And you need to understand it before moving forward. Every time you think about him, ask yourself what he's teaching you. Maybe he's showing you what kind of love you crave. Maybe he's revealing patterns in your relationships, things you've tolerated before that you now realize you won't accept. Maybe he's teaching you about your own boundaries, about your standards, about the kind of energy you should allow into your life. This is how life talks to you, through experiences, through people, through moments that stir your emotions. And when you can look at it that way, all that overthinking, all that replaying in your mind suddenly becomes productive instead of painful. Here's the thing about learning opportunities. They rarely feel easy in the moment. It's uncomfortable, it's confusing, and it challenges you. It makes you question yourself, your choices, your desires, and your worth. But every thought about him, every time he pops into your mind, you're being given a chance to reflect, to analyze, and to grow. You're being given a chance to ask, why does he matter so much to me? And what does that say about what I truly need? These questions don't have easy answers, but the act of asking them builds your awareness, your self-respect, and your emotional intelligence. And you know what? When you finally figure out the lesson, when you finally understand the deeper meaning behind why you can't stop thinking about him, you emerge stronger, you emerge wiser, you emerge more capable of recognizing the love that is meant for you and more capable of letting go of the love that isn't. That's the gift hidden in the frustration, in the longing, in the obsession. Every thought, every memory, every what if is part of your personal curriculum in the school of life, and you are the student learning what it means to love wisely, to choose wisely, and to value yourself. So the next time you find him in your thoughts, don't just get frustrated. Don't just try to push it away. Sit with it, examine it. Ask the questions you need to ask. Understand what he is showing you about yourself, about your desires, and about your standards. That reflection transforms the emotional chaos into clarity. And that is why you can't stop thinking about him, not because he has power over you, but because life has given you a powerful lesson in love, growth, and self-awareness. It's a chance to understand yourself in a way that nothing else can teach you. Ladies, one of the biggest reasons you can't stop thinking about a man is that you're confusing thinking about him with needing him. And I want you to hear me clearly. Thinking about someone doesn't always mean you need them in your life. There's a huge difference, and understanding that difference is what separates women who get stuck in heartache from women who grow from it. You see, your mind and your heart work in ways that can sometimes trick you. Your heart remembers the laughter, the comfort, the way he made you feel special, and your mind keeps replaying those moments because they mattered. But that doesn't mean he's the person you need to hold on to forever. Let me break it down for you. When you think about someone constantly, It's usually because they left an impression, maybe they awakened emotions you hadn't felt in a while, maybe they challenged you, made you laugh, or made you feel alive. That feeling is sticky. It lingers in your mind, and your brain, being the intelligent organ it is, keeps reminding you of it because it recognizes that it impacted you. That doesn't automatically translate into needing them. Needing someone means you rely on them for your happiness, your validation, or your sense of self. Thinking about someone simply means they mattered, they made a mark, and your mind is processing that impact. The truth is, a lot of women confuse the two. They wake up in the morning thinking about him, and immediately their heart starts whispering, I need him. I can't live without him. But hold on, that's not true. Your heart is reacting to the emotional memory, not the reality. It's easy to romanticize the connection, to remember the good moments and forget the reality of who he really is, or the reasons why he may not be right for you. The distinction is critical because when you confuse thinking with needing, you start making decisions from a place of scarcity rather than self-respect. You settle for less than you deserve, you tolerate things you shouldn't, and you give away your power in relationships. Here's a practical way to separate the two. Every time he pops into your mind, ask yourself, am I thinking about him because I truly need him? Or am I thinking about him because he impacted me emotionally? Am I remembering the lessons, the laughter, the way he made me feel? Or am I imagining my life won't be complete without him? Those questions force you to recognize the difference. Thinking about him is normal. Needing him is optional. One is a reflection of experience. The other is a reflection of dependency. And women who can make that distinction are the ones who grow from relationships instead of being trapped by them. Another thing to understand is that thinking about him can actually be empowering if you handle it right. It can help you understand what you truly value in a partner, what kind of emotional connection you crave, and what boundaries you won't cross again. It can remind you of your standards and clarify what you want versus what you can tolerate. But needing him blurs those lines. Needing him makes you vulnerable to compromise, to chasing, to emotional exhaustion. Thinking about him as a teacher, needing him without reflection is a trap. So next time you catch yourself in that cycle of overthinking, stop for a second, breathe, separate the emotion from the need. Recognize that your thoughts are a natural response to impact, but your needs are your choice. You can honor your emotions without surrendering your power. You can reflect on why he matters without letting it dictate your happiness. Understanding this difference will free your mind, protect your heart, and allow you to grow stronger, wiser, and more intentional in love. It's not about erasing him from your mind. It's about understanding the role he plays and not letting your needs get confused with your memories.